looking at rational expressions, there's really only two things you need to think of. First is you need to factor, and then you need to simplify. So looking here, let's start by factoring. In the top, we just pull out a greatest common factor of x, and that leaves us with x minus 2. In the denominator, it's a difference of squares. X plus 2 and x minus 2. Factoring's done, now we simplify. There's an x minus 2 on top, there's an x minus 2 on bottom. So they can cancel out, and that leaves us with x over x plus 2. I know what you want to do. There's two x's here. They cannot cancel out because this is x plus 2 and this is x. It'd be the same thing as saying this is 5 and this is 7. You can't just cancel them out. So this is your final answer. This is what it ends up as. Here the factoring step's a little more complicated because we got trinomials. But when we factor this, we get 5a minus 1 and a plus 1 in the numerator. Factor the denominator, we get 5 out as the greatest common factor, a minus 3 and a plus 1. Again, there's an a plus 1 on the top, a plus 1 on the bottom, so they cancel out. Nothing else can cancel out here, so our final answer is 5a minus 1 over 5 times a minus 3. Setup's almost exactly the same, we're just factoring and simplifying. Factoring out the numerator and denominator here, greatest common factor at the top is n, and the leftovers get factored as n plus 3 and n plus 3. And the denominator, again, GCF is n, and the n squared minus 9 that's left over from that is factored as n plus 3 and n minus 3. Once again, we cancel out any factors. N by itself cancels with n by itself. N plus 3 cancels with n plus 3. These two are different, so they get left behind. N plus 3 in the numerator. N minus 3 in the denominator. There's your final factored form. That's fully simplified. Now here, yes, this doesn't look like a fraction. However, since this is a negative 2, this entire expression here really should be in the denominator. So we rewrite the fraction first. X squared plus x minus 6 for the numerator. In the denominator we get x plus 3 squared. Now x plus 3 squared is the same thing as x plus 3 times x plus 3. If we factor the numerator, we get x minus 2 times x plus 3. Denominator is already factored for us. X plus 3 times x plus 3. Cancelling out 1x plus 3 from the numerator and denominator, we get left with x minus 2 over x plus 3. So if we have a negative exponent, anything the negative exponent is attached to becomes the denominator. And finally, here I've already started off by factoring it for you. Now, what's going to happen here is notice how these two expressions are very similar to each other. They just seem to be flipped versions of each other, and we can actually cancel these out. We just need to pull out a GCF. The GCF we need to pull out is a negative 1. If we pull out the negative 1 from the numerator, this expression becomes negative 4w plus 3y, which we can rewrite as 3y minus 4w. And the rest of the numerator is w plus y. The denominator I'm going to leave alone, 3y minus 4w. And 5w plus y. cancelling out. And since we've pulled out the -1, these two are now exactly the same, so we can cancel them out. So in the numerator, we've got negative w plus y. And in the denominator, we've got 5w plus y. And that becomes my final simplified form.